بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. How are you? I hope all of you are fine. My dear students, I am your Islamiat teacher, Miss Satya Firdos. My dear students, today we will start a new unit of your textbook, unit number 27, Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. My dear students, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to know about the early life of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. You will be able to know about the miracle of truth and faith that Pharaoh would bring up Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. And you will realize that truth always wins falsehood. And you will be able to understand the fact that Musa alayhi salam is blessed by Allah against every Pharaoh. Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, was born in Egypt. At the time of his birth, Egypt was ruled by a very cruel and proud king called Pharaoh. He prided himself in the land, and he had divided its people into groups, low and high. One of these groups were the Israelites. The king considered them very low. Dear students, Israelites means the people of Israel. The Israelites were very hardworking. They increased in number rapidly. Rapidly means quickly. The king treated them very cruelly. The Pharaoh, however, was afraid that the Israelites might begin to disobey him and thus become a powerful threat to him. Their sons, therefore, he slew and kept alive their daughters. But Allah's plan was to protect them. When Musa, peace be upon him, was born, the Egyptian nurses held orders to kill Israeli baby's son. But Allah guided the mother of Musa, peace be upon him, to feed him for a time and leave him floating into the river Nile in case of any danger. Allah promised to bring him back to her. Musa's mother knew that there was danger everywhere. The people of Pharaoh might come to know about her son. She at last fearing for his life, but Musa, peace be upon him, into a basket and floated him on the river Nile. But the ways of Allah are wondrous. The basket floated by the Pharaoh's palace and was noticed by his people. Pharaoh's wife perhaps had no son. Musa, peace be upon him, was very handsome, and when she saw him, she took a fancy to the child. Dear students, fancy means to start liking. She exclaimed, "He is joy to the eyes." She asked the king not to kill him. They might take him as a son. Allah's plans always work, and the king said yes. Musa's sister, who had followed the floating basket, walked up to the palace to ask, "Shall I tell you of a family that may bring up to the child for you and take care of him?" The Pharaoh had to say yes. Thus Musa, peace be upon him, returned to his mother. Allah's promise is always true, but the short-sighted people fail to understand it. Dear student, short-sighted means those who cannot see distance objects clearly. Now, my dear students, for better understanding of this unit, we will do the exercise of this unit. So as an exercise, firstly we will do the question answer of this lesson. So my dear students, first question is, where was Prophet Musa born? I repeat the question, where was Prophet Musa born? Yes, the answer of this question is Prophet Musa alayhi salam was born in Egypt. Yes, my dear students, now we will do the question number 2. Question number 2 is, who ruled Egypt at the time of his birth? Yes, my dear students, Prophet Musa alayhi salam was born in Egypt. At the time of his birth, Egypt was ruled by a very cruel and proud king called Pharaoh. Yes, the answer of this question is Egypt was ruled by King Pharaoh. Yes, my dear students. Question number 3 is, what kind of king was he? My dear students, as we have already discussed in the question number 2, that Egypt was ruled by King Pharaoh, and I told you in that question that Pharaoh was a very proud king. So the answer of this question is he was a very cruel and proud king. My dear students, the king prided himself in the land, and he had divided its people into groups, low and high. Our next question is, how did he treat his people? How did he treat his people? So my dear students, the answer of this question is he treated them very cruelly. He treated them very cruelly. My dear students, the question number 5 is, what did he think of the people called Israelis? My dear students, as I told you before this question, that Pharaoh was ruled by a very cruel and proud king. He prided himself in the land, and he had divided its people into groups, low and high. One of these groups were the Israelis. The king considered them very low. So, my dears, the answer of this question is he considered them very low. My dear students, at the time of the reading we have discussed that the king considered to Israelis very low. But the Pharaoh was afraid of this group. My dears, the Israelis were very hardworking. They increased in number rapidly. The king treated them very cruelly. But the Pharaoh, however, was afraid that the Israelis might begin to disobey him, and thus became a powerful threat to him. Their sons. Therefore, he slew and kept alive their daughters. My dear students, our next question is related to this. So the question number 6 is, why did the king slay their sons and spare their daughters? Yes, the answer of this question is, he did this because he was afraid that the Israelis might begin to disobey him, and thus became a powerful threat for him. Yes, my dear students. When Musa al-Islam was born, the Egyptian nurses held orders to kill Israel's baby son. But Allah guided the mother of Musa al-Islam to feed him for a time and leave him floating into the river Nile in case of any danger. My dear students, Allah promised to bring him back to her. Musa's mother knew that there was danger everywhere. The people of Pharaoh might come to know about her son. She at last, fearing for his life, put Musa al-Islam into a basket and floated him on the river Nile. But the ways of Allah are wondrous. My dear students, question number 7 is, what did Musa's mother do to save the life of her son? Yes, the answer of this question is she put Musa al-Islam into a basket and floated him on the river Nile. My dear students, when the basket floated by the Pharaoh's palace and was noticed by his people, Pharaoh's wife perhaps had no son. Musa al-Islam was very handsome, and when she saw him, she took a fancy to the child. She exclaimed, "He is a joy to the eyes." She asked the king not to kill him. They might take him as a son. My dears, Allah's plans always work. And the king said, yes. Our next question is question number 8. Why did Pharaoh's wife ask him not to kill the baby boy? Yes. I hope after this discussion you know very well that the answer of this question is she did not have a son and so wanted to take him as a son. My dear students, I hope you understood this lesson. Inshallah, we will meet in our next class. Till then, Allah Hafiz.